When people spit on me, don't even talk to me if you don't. I only had one beer. One beer.
Hello everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Pit Pub. I'm your host, Jack. Man, this was a hard episode to film, Griggs, and I'm here with Wade. Hey guys. Tosh, aka Rocky T. How you doing, man? Welcome to, thanks for being here.
You brought me on for episode 2.
I did.
Who was your first guest?
That is a question that does not need to be answered nor referred to.
So it's me, Rocky T Games here, also founder of the channel Rock T Vids. No Y in that one. I'm here with Diablo Sanchez Griggs.
That's the best you could come up with. Is Diablo Sanchez. We had a bit. We had a bit where it'd be like, oh, it'd be funny if you use your fake name, and then it's like, whoa, that's my real name, dude.
I'm just kidding.
But you use Diablo Sanchez. That was your choice as an individual.
I'm messing with you as an audience.
Oh, you're joshing me, bro.
No, I'm sorry for your recent loss.
Of what?
Of taste.
Oh.
I see some of the CDs you have over there.
Oh, you picked like half of them. All right, so we're anyway. So I have before we start, I have Jack's necessary evil for the episode. It's the one-time question that we discuss things. I don't know why I'm explaining it because it's the second episode. You should have gotten all from the first. Okay. What do you, as an individual creator of fine products such as the Flash Game song and various other, what's your sort of like mindset that you go into when you, like, I know when I like write or do like creation and stuff, I usually sort of try and have a space that's similar to other times. So what's your kind of space for that? Do you prefer sort of like an area where you don't know what's going to happen, so you got to deal with things, or do you prefer like absolute control, like somewhere in between?
All right, so here's a little background process for how I make my own videos. I go to Google and I type in random word generator. I take a random word, I Google that word, and go to like the 98th page, and I look and scroll down that one page and look for a keyword that gets me into thinking for something to do a video on.
Yeah.
And that's where Flash Games came from, because I saw a Flash website and I said that would be fun to do a song about, and I intentionally wanted to make it very poor quality. Some might disagree that I was actually trying my best. I can assure you, it's only half true.
Oh, it's a half truth of a quarter truth. That's fair.
Yes, that makes it 1/8.
That is the math on that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a good episode for you today. The title of this episode is Sorry. What would Wade, if you would like to introduce our topic for the day? You picked it, so go for it.
I gotta get. I didn't pick the topic. Okay.
Oh, is this prop comedy? Okay. You absolutely did. Okay.
I gotta get.
Oh my god. So, for those who are listening, because this is a non-visual format, wish you would have kept that in mind before you brought that. It's wearing how much did you spend on that? Hold on. First of all, if you're uncomfortable, if you're uncomfortable, go for it.
100.
That's fair. He's wearing a white beanie that says Epic in all lowercase. That's a nice touch, I'll admit. You know what?
So the topic today is...
Oh, we're just going to move on from that. All right, go for it.
Is music.
That is the topic of every episode, except for those that aren't, because we're expanding.
So music is the name of the game.
That is...
And
all right.
Jack... Don't play me in Smash. Griggs is here to stay.
I already said my quote. All right, so he's just referring back to me. That's cool. The theme is Wade's personal music collection that he has picked from various sources. Is he referred to it?
Emo phase.
That you could have used any word besides phase, and that would have been better. All right.
Emo zone.
There you go. That's better. It's like a you know those like zip line places you go to. It's like that. That I was gonna say it's like that, but without the fall. But that is the opposite. All right. Okay. So let's go into the first round here.
Speaking of the fall.
Yeah.
Who likes Gorillaz?
I mean, I have it right there. Speaking of referring to other things, the fourth round is gonna be interesting. Oof. Just wait for that. Anyway.
So we're referring to other
things. Not specific. Hey. We can say like, hey. this round's gonna be cool, but like we can't say, oh,
None of
the
them are cool.
the fifth minute of the Gorillaz album.
At exactly an hour and 26 minutes, skip to that right now. All right, just skip over his ad.
It's not even. First of all, there's no ad. Second of all, it's gonna be like an hour max.
Skip to an hour.
I think you're just telling people to close the video at this point. Like, okay, that's subtle. Anyway, so the first two albums we got, man, we got off track. We have, you can introduce one of them, whichever one you want to introduce.
I chose 3 Day Grace's 1X album.
3 Day Graces? All right.
3 Day Graces.
Yeah.
Featuring hit songs, It's All Over, Pain, Animal I Have Become, that's a personal favorite. Never Too Late, On My Own, Riot, Get Out Alive. You can cut this whenever you want.
I will. I'm not. It's
all right. Well, it has all these songs that you've more than likely seen in your recommended section on some shitty AMV.
That's fair. What's the A in the AMV stand for?
It stands for autistic.
That. All right, man. The epic hat is making sense. All right. So another album he has picked, which I don't currently own, so I'm using their greatest hits compilation. Is I'll introduce it because why not? It's Phobia by Breaking Benjamin. It's a good album, I feel. It actually has a lot of different instrumentations, which I did not expect. I expected just a lot of loud, but there is kind of soft boys, so that's nice. And it actually has a cover, which is, I mean, it's cool if you're not Christian like I am, so that's cool. So
am I allowed to say heck?
You are, and I like to call this round birds of a feather often fault together. So if you would like to
what does that mean?
You'll find out when we talk about it. Yeah. So if you want to do your feelings on your pick, I mean, you technically picked both of these, but that's fine.
Yeah, you introduced my own second.
Well, yeah, because I didn't want to it's like a back and forth type of thing, and I got encouraged. So so which one do you want to talk about?
Let's start with 3 Days Grace.
Okay, so just like do a quick summary of like what you like, dislike, do whatever, go for it.
All right, so this was an album that I was very fond of while I was in middle school. I listened to it on
a month ago.
On a near daily basis. And I was very fond of the songs at the time. I liked the sound. I liked the Jack is very, very enthusiastic on getting me to laugh in the middle of my speech. I listened to this album a lot, and I appreciated the sound that it went for. I appreciated the direction they were going. Was original.
What's some like examples of the sound that you're referring to?
So they usually use a lot of the same riffs, and some might call that lazy, but I like how usually in their build-ups, the climax of the song, if you will, is usually the same, and it makes it feel nostalgic. You know, if you go back and listen to the old stuff compared to the new, some would say it sounds exactly the same. I would have to agree.
I was about to say that's a criticism I have, but all right. And the album we have now, or I guess I have, whatever, is Phobia by Breaking Benjamin. Has an interesting intro of...
Are you looking at
an airplane? Yeah, I don't have the CD, so I can't like refer to like the track list.
It's on the back.
This is the greatest hits, dude.
You don't even have the right...
Why would I own Phobia? No,
I have it. You should have told me to bring it.
No, I didn't want you bringing an 8-track. Anyway, we have... Anyway, Phobia, the intro, is of an airplane, which apparently is based on the lead singer's fear of airplanes. So that is a good one. It actually starts the second song, Diary of Jane. I know, it's like the single or whatever, but it's actually, I feel, a very interesting metaphor, because I feel like that's a weird... Like that's what I feel like this album really shines with, when it just takes an idea and runs with it.
Isn't a metaphor when it says like or as? I don't think
that is a simile. Fun factoid.
No.
No, seriously though, when Diary of Jane, the whole hey, if I'm in her diary, that's a good like goal to have. I found that kind of cool because it was just taking an idea and kind of running with it. What I did not like was certain songs like Topless, which were just kind of there.
What the fuck did you say about Topless?
I said he was just kind of there.
Nate, that's my favorite song.
Is it really?
No, it's really not.
Good. So you know what I mean? Like, if you can, is this a lot of stuff here that I feel like a lot of both of these albums had sort of mid-emo 2000s trend of just having an intro, verse, hook, bridge, hook again.
You actually wrote out the entire formula for that band.
That's what I'm saying. It applies to both bands. And there's a lot of the time where I felt, at least in the early to mid part of the album, a lot of them just had the same tone. And then same with 1X. Toward the end, it was like, whoa, this is just changed to Sad Boy hours. and it was just kind of, I mean, it had a great outro with "You Fight Me." I thought that was really good, but I felt like it was just kind of, it just kind of needed to, I guess, sort of varied up a little bit, because like at this point, I sort of felt like the structure just really got annoying. Of just, it's like, because I feel like if you can predict what a song's gonna say, what's the point of listening to it, So what's your sort of thoughts on these? Like when you're comparing them, like what are you kind of thinking?
Well, it's epic. Well,
or not even better, but like, what do you prefer?
I will say it's very situational depending on which one is better. If you like the sound of a traditional grunge rock band, you would more than likely want to go with 3 Days Grace 1X, because that sound is very distinct. It's very, I guess, guttural is the word for it. You, I don't know, it resonates a little more deeply with people who like need to vent frustration or something. Breaking Benjamin often has a few more layers to their songs and like depth. So I would say if you're looking for something like that in a song, Breaking Benjamin is the top pick. So it really depends on how you're feeling.
Cool, fair enough. So we're going to take a vote right now. Which one do you think will go on to the next round? I have my vote, but I'll probably say it after yours.
Well, you're recording this, so you have to pick the winner right now.
Well, no, we vote for it. And then if we don't, because this is a show all about the conversations had and not the result.
This isn't live.
Yeah, but it will be, because it's like, all right, just which one do you prefer, 1X or Breaking Benjamin? Just decide.
Probably 1X.
1X, okay, you know what? That's actually good, because I agree with that. So Breaking Benjamin, you can get out of here. And I don't agree with that just because I don't have the CD, and it'd be hard to argue it. That would be an issue. All right, so Breaking Benjamin's out. So the next round is going to be interesting. By the way, in case you didn't catch that slogan, because someone was talking over me, this is a show all about the conversations had, not the results there. If we had to mention that in the intro, I'll probably do that later.
This is next really round. Unprofessional, I gotta say.
You're wearing the epic hat. I don't think you need to speak.
Hey, no one has to know that. You didn't have to bring it up.
You're the one who opened it and brought it here.
I didn't.
And then made a deal about it to not show me beforehand.
I didn't open.
Okay. The next round is, I like to call this round, the winner of this will literally win the entire thing, because these are two of my favorite albums ever made. You can talk while there's silence if you like.
No.
Okay. So this round is going to be interesting. So we have Radiohead's OK Computer, which I will explain since it's my pick. And if you'd like to introduce your pick there.
Gorillaz Demon Days.
Okay, yeah, so you're welcome. Sorry. So OK Computer is one of my favorite albums of all time. It has an amazing Wade's going to have a story about this album when he gets to talking, so I'm going to let him say that. But it's a very good album, I feel. It has a very good sound for what it went for. I just feel, for example, Airbag, the intro, just really... This is how you do a plane intro, Breaking Benjamin. I'm kidding, it's not a plane, it's a car, but still, it's related. I feel
Those
like...
two aren't related in the slightest.
Well, I mean, like, the fear of crashing, then like an actual crash.
No. It's just a really bad landing in a plane. You're just ramming full speed ahead in a car.
Yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do. And it just has a really nice progression, I feel like. With Paranoid Android, it was one of the first instances of the what do you call it, like the Microsoft voice in a song. And I feel like it was the only instance I can think of besides Operation Doomsday, shout out MF Doom, that actually uses it well and not very overbearingly. And then you have Karma Police, which was the meme song of our generation. Shout out to Derek Comedy. Man, I'm just full of these. Oh, okay, all right, well, we'll get to that in your opinion. And then it ends with The Tourist, which is just a great sort of outro to really sort of tie together. Now, of course, I do think it does have its faults. A lot of people call it a perfect album. I would disagree with that. For example, Let Down, I feel, right after Exit Music, kind of, and then leading into Karma Police, kind of is just kind of a lull for me. I feel like Exit Music and Karma Police are the sort of highlights of that, and it's just kind of a lull. Same with No Surprises in between Climbing Up the Walls and Lucky. I just felt it was kind of, I don't know, I feel like it didn't transition that well. It felt kind of forgettable when surrounded by the things that are that good. But yeah, overall I think a really good album. Wade, if you'd like to talk about yours, go for it.
Before I get on to my pick, if you would like to listen to a perfect album, please go to www.soundcloud.com/user/Jack the Rapper.
Yeah, wow, you memorized that. Okay.
Well, I had to do the take like 3 different times when I made my little review. Listen to the album Edgy.
Oof, that's
a very good album.
It's not.
If you listen to it right now before he takes it down.
I'm not taking it down, but it's
before
bad.
He deletes it from the internet. Back it up, archive it, send it at his phone number, which is 803 725 3006.
I have a feeling you, because that's like shockingly close to my phone number, so I feel like you know it and had to purposely censor that. All right.
No. Okay, my album.
Anyway, go for it.
Gorillaz Demon Days. All right. This was another song. Not song. This was another album I grew up with.
Agreed with that.
I would always go onto YouTube and see if the Gorillaz YouTube channel had uploaded a new cartoon.
Like a cartoon video? Is that what you would refer to?
I think I would.
Okay, fair enough.
Would you rather call it an anime?
To be fair, and Gorillaz is just blur for weebs, so go for it.
Alright, well, we can fight that out. Demon Days has arguably some of the most iconic songs on the album itself, with the exception of probably
White Light.
That and Clint Eastwood.
That's on the first album.
Yes. Clint Eastwood is probably my favorite one, but
that is
if anyone's ever heard of Gorillaz, they have listened to Feel Good Inc., whether they know it's them or not. Dare, several people thought it wasn't this band. They didn't really know who it was, honestly. I was shocked when I first heard that Gorillaz did the song as well.
Appreciate the subtweeting there.
Yeah. I would say that this album comes out over OK Computer.
Oh, okay, really interesting statement. Go for it. Why? Is there any sort of reasoning, or just you prefer it?
I would say Gorillaz, if I had to define it with one word, it would be stylized.
Okay.
Gorillaz really goes for a particular style of music as well as media that accompanies it.
Like what? Like what?
And that is irregularity. Okay. They always try to do something different and inventive with each song, and usually people say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
they will break it and then fix it.
They did break the mold with that. They do something different. No song of theirs sounds the same. With the exception of a few, but almost each song you listen to sounds like it's made by someone different, with the exception of the vocals being the same. So I will say they have that going for them, where their music can be widely listened to by many people, and they don't have to be like, oh, this just sounds like this.
That's a fair statement, I feel. Shout out to Danger Mouse, by the way, for producing this with Damien Albarn. That's sort of where the hip hop influence came from. I agree with that whole statement about it just having a very different sound, and each song sort of being standout, and I agree with that. But I feel like some of the songs here are, like there's one particular I feel like is kind of a miss for me. That of course being White Light, if you know what I'm referring to. I feel like don't get me wrong, it's a great song. I just feel like it's very surface level, and compared to like November Has Come, shout out to MF Doom again, where it's just wow that he sang a lot. Same with Fire Coming Out in the Monkey's Head. Which is my personal favorite on the album.
Isn't that the one where it's not actually singing?
It's like a spoken word. It's a spoken word.
Talking to music, right?
Yeah. He's like talking to music.
I've never heard anyone do that before. Just talk over a beat.
No, that's fair.
I've never heard anyone do that. Especially not on www.
Okay, we're going to need it. All right, we're going to... Okay, same with Oh Green World, I feel. Oh Green World, in my opinion, is actually my favorite. I tricked you there. Because I feel like it just... I agree. That's where I think the antithesis of Gorillaz sounding very similar but very stylized as well, where it's only they could do it. And I do agree with that. I feel like... shout out to the record version of this, the recent one, where there's a skip between every song, so there's no transition between Dirty Harry and Feel Good Inc. Would like that to be fixed. But I feel like when comparing it to OK Computer, I personally feel like OK Computer's songs are better as a whole. Because I feel like Gorillaz, there's no real, I guess, correlation between, say, November Has Come and Dare. Like you would not, it's like you said, Dare, a lot of people didn't know as Gorillaz because, he doesn't, and I quote, sound like them, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's a risk you always take with being so outside of the box, is it's not very cohesive. And I personally feel like that's where Demon Days kind of falls down, or it's kind of faults, is you have to sort of take it song by song rather than as an album. And that's where I feel OK Computer shines, is where if you listen to it as a whole, it's like, wow, this sounds like basically one long song. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it comes to the point where what do we reward, where it's a more complete sort of package as a whole or more complete individual. So what are you thinking?
All right, so my opinions on that is when you listen to OK Computer, By the way,
yeah, which we can mention. We can mention.
I will say that Warner Brothers and those responsible for producing the Gorillaz albums, they are more widely accessible on platforms such as YouTube.
They are.
While as OK Computer is very much not.
No.
Because if you have someone who wants to upload, let's say, El Mañana on YouTube, more than likely you can find it within within a couple minutes.
Like 5 minutes tops.
5 minutes tops.
Yeah.
OK Computer. When Jack was first informing me about doing this podcast,
Pippa, by the way.
He said, listen to this album. So he sent me a playlist link. And almost all of them were grayed out saying this video is not available because it has been claimed by copyright, even though I was under the impression it was on the official channel. So
it's not, by the way. The official channel was copyrighted by themselves.
Yes. So
that's fun.
OK Computer is somewhat of a chore to find.
Hey, I found it though. I sent it to you on Mega Video. I sent it to you on Mega Video.
Yes, and I watched it.
It was in 5 parts.
5 ads. So I was going to go back into the point of you talking about which should be more valued, an entire experience versus an individual experience.
Yeah.
I would say, in terms of accessibility, Gorillaz beats out OK Computer purely for the fact that if someone has no idea what Gorillaz is about, they can pick and choose through the songs and say, I like this one better than the other. So you don't have to sit down and listen to the entire album to get the full experience. You can cherry pick which ones you prefer, and you can have someone who if you know someone who likes a particular style, like if they're more into pop, you would probably want to recommend them Dare. Whereas if they want something that's a little bit more serious and a tone-based experience, you would probably want to refer them to El Mañana.
That's fair.
OK Computer, like Jack said, if you're listening to it through a platform where you can easily listen to all of them in one sitting, it does sound like one big long song.
I feel like a lot of people use that as an insult. Sorry to interrupt, but I feel like that's an accomplishment. Honestly,
I think it is. I honestly think it is too, because if you can have your music blend together. Mm-hmm. Now, if it was like an hour-long drag, if you felt like there were no pauses and it was just all blending together in some horrendous.
We'll get to that in the 4th round.
Mix of things, but
we'll get that in the 4th round. Don't worry. So I do agree with your vote for Demon Days. I think we've kind of, because I do agree with the whole. It's kind of one for everyone. Even though I do prefer OK Computer as an album, I will vote for Demon Days.
All right.
So what do you vote for?
I vote for Demon Days as well.
All right, sounds good. Sorry, OK Computer.
Completely biased.
That's a fair statement. All right, so you got that 3rd round is I like to call. I should probably be closer to the mic. 3rd round, I like to call with apologies to the children's author, because one of these members. So which one would you like? I would like to introduce this one. If you'd like to introduce that one.
That's fine. I'm more familiar with this one too.
Go for it.
All right. So Jack is handing me.
By the way, these are both my picks. By the way.
Fallen by Evanescence. Now, many of you may be unfamiliar with the album name. I certainly was. You will not be unfamiliar with the songs contained within. If anyone has ever recommended you Evanescence before,
you are loud. All right.
Usually, you can tone this down.
I can, but
I don't want to.
I'm just saying it's funny that you're yelling about Evanescence.
Oh yeah, I'm livid. So Jack picked Evanescence, and while I think they are a good band, he did also pick the one that is most commonly known, also the one that is most commonly shit on.
That's fair.
Mainly because of one inclusion in this album called "Bring Me to Life."
Second track.
Second track. So, Bring Me to Life, everyone's heard it. There have been memes all over the whole internet about it. I voice crack. You can edit that out.
I'm not. We're keeping that.
You will not. Okay. Evanescence, I think, is a very underrated band. I think they get more shit. I think they get shit more than they deserve.
That's fair.
However, I will say the fact that when a song becomes when it becomes too popular for its own good. Overexposed. When it gets overexposed, then it kind of loses what it originally had. Because when I first listened to Bring Me to Life, I said, wow, that was a pretty good song. And then I heard it again. And again. And again. To the point where it kind of got on my nerves. listening to it, and I felt like it was a chore to get through.
What do you think of the rest of the album besides track 2?
My Immortal is another one of those songs you'll see floating around the internet quite a bit. And I think what Evanescence has going for it that many bands don't nowadays is that they go for a story. With each song, some of them lead into each other, or you could, like, it's open to interpretation, because you could think that some songs are meant to, like, tell one large story, or you could think that each song represents a different story. So, like, with My Immortal, you're with, like, the singer is talking about some kind of a relationship that they were in, and it did not go very well, but they're having problems moving on from that relationship. And I think that many like songs and artists don't necessarily go for the storytelling aspect anymore. And I gotta say, that's something that, you know, they went for pretty much with every song.
That's fair. Yeah.
So
what do you think kind of this album kind of lacked on?
They didn't lack with variation, and they didn't really lack with good sound. I think each song sounds very good. I think all of them were made professionally, and that there was a lot of thought that went into each one. I will say the one negative aspect for me is that it tends to become a laughing stock in a sense, where people
or if you mention it,
do it a lot. Yeah. Like, people talk about it a lot, people play it a lot, to the point where it's like, I thought it was good, but I don't really want to go out my way to listen to it. Yeah, you become a closet Evanescence fan, in that sense. So that's the only thing I've really got against this album. Every other part was good when it first came out.
Oh, are you have any sort of changed thoughts now, or you just kind of...
Well, compared to when I first listened to it, I will say that my opinions have changed from enjoyment to slight annoyance, but that's about it.
That's fair. So the album I've picked is one of my personal favorite albums, yet again. We have Treats by Sleigh Bells. Now, this is a really, in my opinion, very challenging album, to where, goodbye strong structure. Like, there's very little sort of consistent structure, like I was talking about in the first round. And I personally really appreciate that, at least on the album, because I feel like it doesn't insult you as a listener, because it's basically saying, hey, listen to what we have, it'll be good. And you have a lot of songs in here, like, for example, the lead single, Infinity Guitars, which plays with the idea, I think, of having the vocal be the same and the instrumentation changing throughout the song. I found that very sort of, at least in my opinion, the way I interpreted it was kind of a, I guess, like, interpretation of the whole music sort of at that time, as to where a lot of instrumentation was the same. They have different lyrics, different sort of vocalizations, however you say it. So I feel like that was kind of, I don't want to say parody, but kind of like an examination of that, to where they kind of reversed it and said, hey, think about it like this. And then you have then you have my personal favorite song on the album, Rill Rill, which it was actually went by Ring Ring on their demo. And that to me is just the sort of culmination of this band in total. I don't want to, like, sort of refer to it, because I don't want to say not a lot of people have heard it because it's the most popular album. But I want to say that listen to it if you can. And then you have like Crown on the Ground, which is, I don't want to say banger again, but it just has a really good sort of feel to it. And then it ends with then it goes into A-B Machines, which takes the concept from Infinity Guitars and just hyperbolizes it with literally repeating two words, or not, I guess two phrases. And then it ends with Treats, which in my opinion is one of the best album intros, at least that we're referring to here. So in my opinion, a very good sort of album. I feel like its only real faults are it can be interpreted very differently. And if you're not in the mindset of, oh, okay, this would mean, or for example, if someone listens to A-B Machines and says, oh, they're just saying the same thing. If they don't ask why are they saying the same thing, it can come off very, very lazy. But I feel like if you have the mindset of this, like they're trying to say something, what does this mean? Then I feel like you can really appreciate this album. As well as this has a hurricane on the CD. That's fun. So yeah, what are your thoughts on anything?
On the topic of repetition, I will say there are bands that do it well and bands that do not so much. Going back to 3 Days Grace, their most recent album called Outsiders.
That was it, yeah.
They have several songs that go for repetition. Now, while I generally think there are more good songs in that album than bad, there are many that are just absolute garbage.
So how would that compare to this one? Treats by...
Treats did repetition well. As you said, I think they went for a message and it paid off. Whereas I Am an Outsider
but you're really
10 times really doesn't necessarily get that message across. It's simply just, this is a feel-bad song. You listen to this when you feel bad. That's the whole substance.
Oh, man.
Whereas Treats went for something a little different, where they had substance before the song with repetition, where they went for like, okay, this is the message we're going for, this is something different, and they really wanted to make it stand out from the rest, not necessarily as a self-aware thing where it's like, oh, this is meant to be a certain way. It's like, this is so that you can interpret it yourself.
Absolutely agree, and I feel like that's sort of the fault of the Evanescence album, is because, as I was talking about in the first round, it has that structure of, not all the songs, obviously, like Hello, I'll get into in a second, but it has the sort of structure of intro, verse, hook, bridge, hook again. For example, My Immortal, like you said, Bring Me to Life, obviously. Everybody's Full, by the way, underrated song. And then, actually, I actually listened to a song here called Turner Kit before I listened to Bring Me to Life, as a kid, at least. And I always thought that was a unappreciated song, but again, it has that sort of feel of, you know what's going to happen. And that's where I think Treats really shines, personally, is where it says, hey, what's going to happen? So I feel like Evanescence is, I don't want to say more traditional, but more sort of easier to consume and to think about.
I mean, it's older.
Agreed, but, And by the way, shout out to Hello for breaking up that sort of feel and having just a really nice song. Because do you know what Hello's about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just has look it up if you don't know what it is. It's very nice. So what are you thinking comparison-wise?
Before I compare, I would like to say that when a band follows a formula, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
True.
Because if you can pull it off, most of the time you'll pull it off really well. And I think Evanescence does that.
Agreed.
With flying colors. They very much go through a formula of, like you said, the songs follow a very distinct path whenever they're being written and whenever they're sang. They go a very certain way. And the message tends to be very similar. However, they make it sound good to the point where you can sometimes forget that this is all essentially the same. Repetition doesn't really go that well for other bands where you can very clearly tell this might as well be the same song. It's as if they just changed a couple words.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I'm just saying sort of structure-wise. To me, at least, it was very noticeable, at least to me, where it was like, oh, okay, here comes the hook, here comes the bridge.
Yeah.
No matter how good they sound great.
Yeah.
But to me, it just got at least to me, it got kind of annoying seeing, oh, okay, this is where this is going to happen.
And since Treats doesn't necessarily follow that structure, I will say...
It's not follow a structure at all.
Not really. Gorillaz also does the same thing, not necessarily with their song structure, but with their theme structure.
Oh, yeah.
Being the fact that they don't have one. And I think that Gorillaz pulls it off and Treats does at the same time.
Yeah.
While Gorillaz does have their entire premise of the band is that it's not supposed to be structured a certain way, Treats does this album very well by not having all the songs sound like they came from the same album in a sense, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And it's actually kind of cool because Infinity Guitars and Rill Rill actually came from, I think maybe Crown on the Ground as well, actually came from an EP. But it's cool because it sounds, part of the album, but as well as you said, individually distinct. So I feel like it'd be kind of cool to compare Treats to some of the later albums that we talk about. So I'm voting for Treats. What would you vote for?
I'll go with the popular vote. Let's go Treats.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Treats is on to the next round. And now we go to the round that I like to call the returning champion meets a new kind of edge. So we have to represent the fourth round. We have a CD copy of one of them and some vanilla Turkish taffy because I would not.
Did you already open this?
Absolutely, but I didn't eat it yet. So
I didn't open it and eat any of it yet.
No, part of it fell off. But
fell off.
No, because you're supposed to eat it you're supposed to crack it and then put it in your mouth. So we're using that to represent it, and you'll see why in a second.
But it says smack it, crack it. You said crack it first.
Yeah, you smack it. Okay. I mean, the smacking implies the crack. Anyway, I picked, of course, the returning champion. Yeah, I kind of had to pick it. Death Grips the Money Store. Fantastic album, I may say, with some of the best production I've ever heard. Starts with the absolute banger of Get Got, which, in my opinion, it was my first Death Grips song I listened to, and I feel like that's a great intro point for everyone. Obviously, you're not going to know what they're saying without looking it up or knowing it by heart. But I feel like that's part of the charm because it adds to at least the sort of... Because it sort of forces you to be involved, if that makes sense. And then it goes into the Fever. And I'm not going to go track by track on this because I very much could because it's a fantastic album. And it goes into the Fever, which one of my favorite lyrics on the album, it says, "By any means necessarated." And that's just amazing to me. And it just goes... It just has a... as you said, this is the epitome of sounding similar, but individually being highlighted, as well as I've seen footage which I feel like is the most accessible song in this album. And Hustle Bones, which made me laugh out loud when I heard the chorus. Like, wow, that's impressive.
That sounds just like them.
Thank you. And of course, Hacker, which is one of my favorite songs. It's the outro.
Was the main villain from the TV show Cyberspace on PBS Kids.
That's actually fair, honestly. And I don't think you've seen the uncensored artwork. Here it is.
Yeah, you sent me the censored nipples.
Wait, no, because you can't find it online besides Googling it. But anyway, one of my favorite actually album covers as well.
You see Batman, Femme Batman.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think of this album cover?
You see Femme Batman on a leash.
Yeah.
To a cop, and I think that represents that Batman himself is tied down by the law, whether he tries to follow it or not. He follows his own code of justice, yet he's still bound by the laws of the American people.
Is this whole album about Batman secretly?
Yes,
do you think?
I actually think so.
It's always called the Money Store because it's like, oh, there's a bank in Gotham probably.
You heard how many times that place has gotten robbed?
At least twice.
I would say so.
Okay. So that was, I feel like this album is very good, as well as I think the same faults of Trees I feel like applies to this, where if you don't go into it with, I don't want to say an open mind, but with a mind wanting to analyze and not to just consume it, I feel like it'll be very hard to get into. But I feel like if you go into that, it's one of the best experiences I feel you can have sonically. And I really want to get Wade's feelings on this, because this was, and the way I listened to it was I listened to Good God at least, probably 10 times, because I wanted to get a feel of the band sort of sound before I listened to the whole thing. And I feel like that kind of paid off for me at least, because I kind of understood what he was saying, at least 1/8 of it. So that's Money Store. If you'd like to introduce the next one, I have an image here since I would really much prefer not to own this CD.
So my album is called Bonamo Vanilla Turkish Taffy. Here are the songs.
Read the
songs are.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We're not sponsored.
Saturated fat.
Okay.
Corn
This
syrup,
bit is going on for entirely
sugar,
too long.
Mono and diglycerides. Paper cut.
Okay. Subtle.
Egg whites. That's a
okay.
Good Linkin Park song.
Just do your.
So Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park.
Yeah, that's the album. Fun fact. And I'll explain why I picked Turkish Taffy in a second.
Number 1, Egg Whites.
You're holding the phone. Okay.
Okay, I chose Linkin Park because I felt like if I was going to go down the emo road of choosing songs, I figured I might as well go
with the worst one.
With the worst one.
Okay.
Now, in the description, it says Linkin Park appeared as a young band.
Don't read the description. Use your opinion.
Biscuit.
Oh, yeah, that's very apparent, actually.
Yes. So Paper Cut, One Step Closer. If you listen to this album, you're a 2000s kid. Only 2000s kid will remember this.
Oof. Okay. Let's go.
In the End is probably the most well-known song from this album. I would argue that it has the best music video of this album.
We can argue that all day. Anyway.
Yes, we could. This album, Jack refused to buy a CD of it.
I actually I found one and threw it away. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that to a CD.
He burned
give it to a Goodwill. Anyway, so what do you think of this actual album and not the music video? I know it's very hard to talk about, but go for it.
Listen, I have a really hard past with this thing.
Okay, go for it.
You're like prying into it.
Tell me why this means much to you. Go for it.
I never said that.
You said you had a past.
Yeah, about a good one.
Okay, go for it. Explain it.
All right, so Hybrid Theory. All right, I listened to this song. This whole album was written. Honestly, all my picks have been generally things I listened to when I was in a very bad state.
Yeah.
Was
this one? Did this album make you in a bad state?
This did not improve the state. Linkin Park is very much a band you'll want to listen to if you feel like killing yourself.
I would disagree with that.
And it would reinforce it
yeah,
after you finished.
So anything actually about the album and not the context of it?
I would say that the songs are unique.
Okay.
Now, for the time when this first got released in 2000.
It was 2000?
It was 2000.
Okay.
I was a little baby when this first came out, so I didn't come out of the womb with a pair of earbuds listening to it, but...
You've talked about all the context that you've listened to, but I'm not talking about a single song in the album.
So,
go for it.
So, In the End was probably the first song I listened to of this album, as many people probably have for their introduction to the Linkin Park music as a whole. in the end is probably the most accessible because it is iconic. Not necessarily for good reasons, but it is iconic because the sound was new at the time. It was something that tried to be different. Yeah. Tried. Emphasis on tried. They tried to blend rock and rap. And I will say that blend can work. It can work very well.
It can. Can is the key word here.
This album tried to capitalize on that, and it worked for a couple years. Not for very long, though. So then they start to make more songs. And
they just named something.
Well, One Step Closer.
Okay.
Now, not all of them necessarily have heavy rap, but a lot of them have bits and pieces where rap is sprinkled throughout, and not all of it sounds like it's meant to be there.
None of it.
It's as if Linkin Park itself is like a big cake. Yeah. And you cut yourself a slice, and all the sprinkles are supposed to be on top, but they're like scattered inside.
They're actually in the dough, fun fact.
In the dough.
They actually have fallen through the plate and are on the floor. Yeah. And this was a specifically sprinkle ordered cake.
They picked it back up and put it back on top of the cake. They sank back through.
The couple actually ordered just a cake made of sprinkles.
They got
burned.
They
just had no sprinkles.
The sprinkles got burned a little bit. So like each time you take a bite of the cake, you're like, this is enjoyable until you reach one of the sprinkles.
It's enjoyable to look at, but until
you like looking at it. The art on the top is very good.
Oh, the hockey dude?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
They typically have very good artists. But
I agreed. I feel like the cover arts and the instrumentation is the best part of this album.
Yes. They really went for a good style. But that was about all I could say for it. They tried their best. That's what I can say about Linkin Park.
What would you say would be overly negative about the album? Because I'm about to rip into this album and would like to give you any. I'd like to give you sort of a sort of. Okay, because you picked this album, by the way. I picked mine.
I did.
So I would like to give you
definitely sort of the weakest of the bunch.
Oh yes, definitely. I would give you a chance to sort of preface my thing that's about to happen.
The reason a lot of people have issues with this album is mainly because it kind of follows the Evanescence formula of being overhyped to the point where some people they delusion themselves into thinking this is good, and then people start defending it, and then people like Jack want to rip into them.
Oh, I don't want to. I need to at this point.
Needs to.
He
has a primal urge.
I have a primal. I was about to say that. Good job.
Yep. That's all I really have to say. Go for it.
All right, okay. So Hybrid Theory is one of the worst fuses of rap I've ever heard. Mike Shinoda is a great rapper on Fort Minor, but for some reason Hybrid Theory just didn't click. For example, on In the End, the one you're referring to, one of the worst raps I've ever heard. No offense to Mike Shinoda. And at this point, I feel like Chester Bennington was the only sort of redeeming factor of this album. There's the drum work, instrumentation, and the DJ. I forget his name. Sorry. The instrumentation is fantastic, I feel, and the instrumental, which I cannot remember the name of because I wanted to block this album from my existence, in my opinion, is the best song on the album because it has no words. And that I feel like vocally is where it really sort of falls flat for me. And in my opinion, I feel like if there's an instrumental album, it would be betterly received, I feel. Because the raps are just borderline horrible, honestly, in my opinion. Because I'm pretty picky when it comes to rap. I listen to stuff that, I feel like, I don't want to say pretty picky, but I sort of have a palate for it. And
you are.
That's fair. But it's just, no, stop, please. But I mean, even Chester Bennington, there was a song where he just said "shut up" like 17 times.
Yep.
That was a bit, and it's just a lot of moments like that where I feel it's not pleasant to listen to lyrically. And it's not even vocally. Like vocally, it sounds good, but lyrically, it just hurts to process. And that's where I feel like a lot of people like this album is that they just put it on as background noise or something they don't have to think about.
That's why they released a song later called Painkiller.
Oh yeah, did they?
They did not. That was a different band, but I thought it would be funny.
What band was it?
That Painkiller is 3 Days Grace.
Okay, that's fair.
That was one of their newest ones after they changed the main vocalist.
Yeah, I can tell you were not a fan of the newest album based on 10 or whatever.
Well, no. I don't dislike the singer, but I will say if you've listened to the old stuff long enough, it's hard to transition. Now, one thing, there's a saying, revenge is a dish best served cold.
Yeah.
Linkin Park is best enjoyed without lyrics.
Agreed.
The music itself, if you listen to any instrumental of Linkin Park, you can very much get lost in the sound. You can very much enjoy the way that the music was produced, and the way that it was written.
I do want to comment. Like you said, it was very good. I feel like instrumentally, the DJ scratches with the rock sort of aspect, I feel like it was very good, and the DJ deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yes.
But when two of your three members are vocalists, I don't feel like that is a good sign. And I feel like, again, if you compare it to the Money Store instrumentally, it does not hold a cake. It does not hold a candle, let alone a whole cake, to the Money Store, which, again, in my opinion, is some of the best production ever made.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of like the Money Store as an album? Because I haven't really asked you about it.
I mean, you're kind of comparing like a red velvet cake to a piece of shit on a plate.
Yeah.
There's really no comparing these two albums.
At least in quality.
As someone who had never heard of Death Grips before
this is what I'm curious about. So
I had never heard of this before, and I was pleasantly surprised at how good this album sounded. It's something that I will definitely go out of my way to look up and listen to. I will not be doing the same for the other album.
Oh, OK Computer, really?
OK Computer.
Really?
For one, it's going to be a hassle to actually get the song to pull up.
This is fair.
Whereas Death Grips is much easier to find.
Yeah.
We're
still on that note, by the way, 2 rounds later.
Yes.
What were some of your highlights? Because I'm just curious, because as a first-time Death Grips, as a huge Death Grips fan, I always found it interesting seeing like people's first reaction to the band. So when you plugged in like Good Got, what were you expecting, and what did you like when you finished Get Got? What did you feel like? Wow, what did you like feel? I guess about it.
I feel like Fuck That was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I definitely think that would be a popular pick.
Really?
But I do think that for people who listen to this, or even people who haven't listened to this, this is an album where people can get very, very conflicted over which one they like the best. Because all of the songs generally have a very excellent way of portraying the message it's trying to get across, on top of it just sounding very good to listen to. I appreciate everything that this album went for, and I appreciate how well it paid off.
What would you say? So you said that it was your favorite.
True story. As soon as Hacker ended, I checked my phone because I wasn't hearing any noise, and like usually my phone keeps playing songs, but I physically felt like that wasn't supposed to be the end. So if I have any complaint for this album, it's that it's too short.
Oh yeah.
I will say, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. If anything, that's probably a compliment, because if
you don't want it to end.
If you're wanting more music from an album, it's not that this is lacking content. This has very good content, and it's got a very decent amount. I will say that I'm wanting more because I liked it, not because I felt like it was me having an underdeveloped album.
Agreed, and I feel like if an album can do that, that's like the mark of a really good album.
Yes. I will say this one probably shines the brightest out of all of them. I do think you could have given my other picks a run for their money. However, I'm glad you didn't, because you picked the shittiest one of mine to put up against it.
Agreed. No, because I put them into a randomizer. Like beforehand, I was all fate, baby. Yeah, so I think we can agree Money Store won, correct?
Yes.
Or you just want to have like a last?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Linkin Park comes out on top. We are both in agreement.
It's the winner. Okay. So that's the Money Store. Okay. If you want, we had a bit we were gonna do where he tries the Turkish taffy, but I feel like no, because it tastes bad. Don't do it. I bought it for I actually bought it for less than the price tag. I got it for 50 cents.
Well, you're actually misleading me on how I'm supposed to ingest this disgusting looking Turkish delight, because you said to crack it first and then eat it. However, on the instructions on the packaging say to smack it and then crack it.
This is a really weird joke for people who don't know what this looks like, but that's okay.
Are you going to put up a picture?
Absolutely not.
Now that I'm telling you to put up a picture, you have to.
I'm going to make an active effort to not put up a picture.
You should.
Nope. Okay, so we're going to the next round, which I like to call there are more than 4 members on the cover. That's the round for this one.
Hold on.
All right, so we got so we have 3 Days Grace 1X, as we can say. I said more than 4, but and then we have Gorillaz Demon Days, which so these are both Wade's picks. I just realized.
So we're putting these two together.
Yes. So which one?
Demon Days.
So just like subtle. I want to try and have a bit of a conversation about comparing the two, but all right. So specifically track wise, I feel like the structure of 1X really kind of is its fault in this one.
Yes.
Because, again, it's just, I don't want to say more of the same thing, because it's not, because it does sound very different sonically.
Yes.
But you're just agreeing because you just want to say Demon Days.
Well, no, not necessarily, because these two albums were comparing structure against non-structure.
Oh, sorry.
I agree with that statement, but I will say that Demon Days is superior in the fact that the songs generally sound like they put more care into what they were writing and not this was an album meant to make money.
Oh, would you say that's what 1X is? Or
1X most definitely feels cheaper than Demon Days does.
Agreed. And
while that I can't put them at fault for that, because once something gets popular, clearly the goal at some point is going to turn into this needs to make money. I'm the outsider.
But yeah, and you can make I do think if you go for that, you can absolutely call them out on that and be like, hey, stop it.
Yeah.
So I do think we're in agreement that Demon Days is going to go through, but I just want to go into 1X just a bit more because we have a little bit of time to fill. I feel like the outro, 1X, was a very good song, I feel. Riot is my least favorite song out of this album because although there was a moment in it in the middle where it was like...
Oh, when it gets really quiet?
Yeah, and he's like gritting through his teeth.
Let's start a riot.
That is your take on that song. That part was enjoyable because it was like, okay, that's kind of new. And then it just was like, all right, this is not a good Riot song. But I absolutely agree. Demon Days is going to be kind of hard to top here. 1X, the best thing about 1X, in my opinion, is its CD design because it's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yes. I love the way that they stylized their album covers. Same way as Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Whereas Linkin Park's album covers are generally the only good thing about the albums, 3 Days Grace brings a little bit more to the table than that.
No, agreed. No, I didn't mean that as an insult by any means.
Yes.
I was just saying, like, it was fantastic. It was, like, the art on it is fantastic,
oh, yes.
I feel. I was just saying that,
They do very well with simplicity. I'll even go out of my way to say that for Outsider. The color...
You are not a fan of that
No,
album.
I am not. At least half of it. I like their color choices. In almost every single one of their albums, they go for a red, white, and black, which happens to be my favorite color scheme, as evidenced by what I'm wearing today.
Yeah, you are wearing that. Good job. With your epic hat. Thank you.
With my epic hat.
Yeah. Or I guess beanie, in that case. We probably should have said it was a beanie. That probably
Epic
makes more
beanie.
sense. It doesn't... I feel like it'd be better if it had a period right after the C.
Or if it said XD.
That would kind of ruin the feel.
Or lol.
No, because I'm saying it's like subtly ironic, because it's like in lowercase. I feel like it had a period that was kind of adds.
How would you feel if I said that I wore this on purpose and that I actually like it?
No, I mean I enjoy it as well, but I did.
You enjoy it?
Yeah, I feel like it's good.
You enjoy that I'm wearing a hat?
No, I enjoy wearing an epic hat, not just any hat, but
okay.
the epic hat. All right, so next round is going to be difficult because I was kind of hoping these two would not go against each other because I feel like they have very similar positives and very similar negatives.
Mm-hmm.
So which one would you like to introduce? Or I guess compare or take the side of, if that makes sense.
Go.
Oh man, okay, that's the side I was
Do
going
you want to do this one?
No, man, go for it. You got it. All right, he has picked The Money Store, and I've picked Treats. Comparing it, I feel that Treats, it does a lot for its genre, I feel. Like, you can definitively say Treats is a rock album, whereas The Money Store, it's kind of hard placing a genre on it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like in the confines of rock, Treats does a very good job of making it fresh, keeping it entertaining. And same with lyricism, where the whole idea that lyrics matter but not in what they're saying, if that again makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's more of the context of them as a whole with the instrument. I feel like that was a very good thing that Death Grips, I feel like it's a positive that Death Grips did not have, where the lyricism is fantastic on Death Grips by itself. Yeah, that's all I can really say. That Treats does better, go for it. You got it.
Again, my only criticism for this album is that it is short. And in the terms of that it doesn't come up short, it's just I would prefer more.
Yeah.
But it definitely comes with plenty enough content to pack a punch. Treats definitely did a lot right with what it was going for. It's a very enjoyable experience. It's a very enjoyable experience for both. And while I'll say that Treats was very enjoyable, I definitely enjoyed the other album better.
Money Store by Death Grips.
Yes, I enjoyed Money Store much better.
The returning champion.
I might also be biased because the art style is black and white. That's probably my in terms of art style, I prefer black and white drawings probably better than anything else, especially the way this is done.
Yeah, agreed.
In terms of music, though, which we're actually comparing.
Well, we compare whatever.
In terms of length, I would say
this one's
that
shorter.
Treats, it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Treats is shorter.
Okay, well, they're about the same size.
Yeah, that's fair.
I will say, in terms of content, that The Money Store comes out on top.
No, I agree. I agree that Money Store is definitely a better album that I enjoyed more. But I would say shout out to Treats. Check it out if you're a fan of good music.
You just shout out something.
Yeah,
I shout out my Twitter
for it. This is his time. Don't
underscore
don't interrupt.
Stanky leg.
I was gonna like give you like silent time to do that bit, but I was just saying like don't interrupt. It's like the part in with the first song on Life of Pablo, Ultralight Beam, where Chance says, "This is my part. Don't sing along. This is your part, Wade. I will not talk."
Underscore Stanky leg. That's all.
He paid $5 for that AdSense. Anyway, so now we're on to the final round. I did not give that last round a name. I probably should have. I call this round. There Are Girls on the cover. That is the name of that round that the Money Store just won.
Well, Money Store has girls, as in there are two.
Yeah. And then and Treats as girls as in they are cheerleaders in a school. That is, okay.
And then there's covered up titties.
That is a way to describe them. I was just saying girls as in they are cheerleaders in high school, and they are technically considered girls by the standards which we have. Which one? Yeah, you should probably take that one because it was your pick, and Death Grips was my pick. So final round, Gorillaz. I call this round Death Demon. That is that's a good album because that's like it's edgy and that's the title.
I'm never coming back over again.
That is fair as an individual. That's fair. This is the edgy episode, so it's Death Demon. That's the title round. Okay, so how do you want to compare these two?
Actually, before we start, do you want to talk about your OC Gorillaz character?
I do not know what
your original character for Gorillaz.
Oh, is this the bit you were talking about at the beginning? Okay.
No. Jack is trying to hide the fact that he created himself to be the 5th member of the Gorillaz.
Oh, did I? What's my title?
His name was Billy.
Okay, Billy. Just Billy. There's no...
Yes, Billy Grimm.
So we got 2D, Murdoch, Noodle, Russell, and Billy. All
yes. Right. Well, unless you count Dell.
I mean, he died twice, so I would probably say not.
Jack drew himself.
Did I?
He pretty much did a palette swap for 2D.
Okay.
He gave himself the blue hair.
Oh, I did.
Didn't change the length at all, though, so he still has his short hair. It's colored blue.
It's short, medium.
No, it's colored blue. He photoshopped his waist up so that he has a very tiny chest and his legs are hyper extended.
You're describing a pencil.
That is who Jack Griggs is.
Okay.
And
this is the end of that.
I felt that they needed to know you created a Gorillaz OC.
Okay, so it's just literally 2D with blonde hair and longer legs.
No, I said that you colored yourself to look like 2D.
Oh, I colored myself. Oh, so it's still with the blue hair.
Yes.
Okay.
And so you actually put Sharpie on your eyes to make them black.
Okay, when did I mention this to you?
Today.
Oh, like right before.
Right before we started.
Right before we started. Okay. That's a cool bit that you decided to do.
If you want to speed that up.
Oh no, that's actually slowed down. In fact, we're like slowing that down by 0.25.
No one is listening.
Okay, that is my fear. Anyway, so let's try and compare these two: Death Grips Money Store versus Gorillaz Demon Days. This I feel is a very hard comparison because they're both fantastic albums, and would like to give credit to both of them for just being thoroughly entertaining through every listen. I will start with Death Grips if you don't mind.
Okay.
I feel Death Grips, at least from better than Gorillaz, I feel has more challenging production, which has a similar sort of respect in the sense of while they are trying to limit themselves to the most unenjoyable sound and making it sound amazing. I feel like that, because for example, they sampled a printer on this album and a subway car. Like, how do you do that? Actually, no, I sampled the subway car, Midnight, that's okay. No, but it's interesting, I feel, because if you look at the starting points of each of these albums, Gorillaz Demon Days, like at least the sort of like bare bones of the various instrumentations, it's like, okay, that makes sense. You know, that would be a good sort of starting point as a song. Death Grips, you hear like an HP printer, and it's like, all right, that's your choice as an individual. But
is that your go-to line now?
Absolutely, that and that's fair because I don't know how to respond to stuff because I am.
That's F-air, forward air.
F-air, that is
forward aerial.
That's a smash joke there, fellas. No, I find it. I feel like Death Grips. I feel like you can give more credit to the Death Grips there because they start at a very. I don't want to say impeded, but they start at a very challenging standpoint, and I feel like you should reward that more if you get to a similar quality from that standpoint.
Yes.
And same with lyric. I actually feel like Death Grips Money Store, Returning Champion, is better lyrically than because you have a lot of different vocalists on Demon Days. For example, you have Damien Albarn, you have Deal a Soul on Feel Good Inc., you have MF Doom, shout out to MF Doom. On November's Come, you have like. Yes. You have two very different vocalists on Dare. You have Spoken Word and Fire coming out. There's a lot of examples of very different. I feel like lyricism quality there's a lot of things different there to unpack. And like as I said with White Light, there's not really much to unpack there. It's just, hey, alcohol. And
I was getting this album confused with Humans, which was almost exclusively guest singers.
This is true. Well, so to be fair, so was Plastic Beach. Plastic Beach was a better album.
It was.
And so I feel like Death Grips, I feel like for two people mainly, or I guess one, technically MC Ride mainly, but Zach Hill does some stuff as well and Get Got. I feel like for the variation he shows lyrically, I feel like that's more impressive than a variation of a lot of people lyrically. Mm-hmm. So what are you feeling on the comparison-wise? You can there's a reference.
All right. Well, what I'll say about Gorillaz and Death Grips is that you were very correct about how Death Grips definitely had to work a little harder to get as popular or as good sounding as it does.
Yeah.
Mainly because Gorillaz had already gone through one album by the point that this one was released. So Gorillaz had already.
Well, same with Money Store. They had Ex-Military before this.
Yes, but if you're talking about which one is more popular today.
Oh, no, that's true. Yeah, definitely.
Gorillaz is more well-known than Death Grips is.
Oh, yeah.
I won't say it's deserved, but I will say that...
Interesting.
I will say that Death Grips is underappreciated, definitely. I would use that word to describe it, because if I hadn't heard of this before, I might just be uncultured. I haven't heard anyone but Jack mention this to me.
Dude, stay anointed.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm a vast pool of knowledge of music. I'm definitely not, but I feel like something of this quality, I would have stumbled upon it sooner or later, but I had to have someone else recommend it to me.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of the point of the show, honestly, is to get sort of a blend of music ideas, and that's a little bit of spoiler alert. That's why I kind of did the show, is to get multiple people into my music and people's music into my hands.
Yeah. Now, Gorillaz is definitely more well known, and it's for a very particular reason.
Yeah, go for it.
Gorillaz went for standing out. They went with the message right from the beginning. They wanted to kind of go against the grain and put out an album that's meant to shame the people who stick to one genre or try to they show the flaws in Hollywood music stars and how that once fame gets to you, that's it. You are not the person you started out as. Whereas Gorillaz very much didn't want to become a mainstream thing at first. They wanted to make, I don't know, like a postmodernism album where it's like you're rejecting what came before by making fun of it.
I do think that that's something both albums do very well, is to where if you're describing it to someone, it's very hard to say, oh, if you like so, you'll like this, and same with if you like rock music, you can't really say if you like rock music, you'll like Gorillaz, because it really doesn't apply.
Either one.
Yeah, and same with if you like rap, you like Death Grips, and it's like. I feel like that's a very good compliment if you can do that, is to where you have to describe a person by an artist with no real reference.
Now, I will say about Death Grips, while I really do appreciate their art, I definitely prefer the cartoon aesthetic of Gorillaz, because they definitely went for comic book characters, and they went with a very unique art style that is personally my favorite. They have dark colors, and they want it to seem very... I don't want to say dark too much, but they make it very unique. It's
complete.
It's very appealing.
Yeah. It's sort of like a complete package, I feel. Like it's more than just music. It's sort of like a series.
Yes.
I agree with that.
I would say that Gorillaz is somewhat of a magnet, because they design their characters to be pleasing to the eye. They wanted to draw people's attention on top of, if this was just album art, still images, I would definitely be interested in it. But the fact that they make music videos and stuff where they fully animate their characters and they call it an animated band.
Yeah. I feel like that's one of the only ones that really sort of applies to that, to where it's more of, I guess, I don't want to say a show, but more of an experience than just an album. And I feel like that's very rare, especially with something like this where it actually works. And
many artists have tried to not replicate the Gorillaz formula, but they've tried to make their own animated music stuff. None have been nearly as successful as Gorillaz have been. Because if anyone says, oh, you heard of the animated band, if anyone knows any idea what we're talking about, they'll more than likely say, oh, it's Gorillaz.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't necessarily gauge popularity with quality. But I do
correct. Just because something's popular does not mean it's good. Hence Linkin Park.
Despacito is the best song of all time. It's the best song
Once the sequel comes out.
It has to come out. Despacito 2 exists.
No.
It does, look.
You're a liar.
I will show you. Literally, look at it.
You're a liar.
Look at it. It's made by the same person.
You are lying to me.
Hold on. Let me show you.
I typed into. You see the person in school who's wearing the Despacito shirt?
No, what does it say?
Despacito.
It does.
And then it has a little line underneath and it says, "This is how we do it down in Puerto Rico."
No, look. Here it is right here. It's This is actually real. It's by the same guy, and it's just spoken word poetry. Yeah, waiting for Despacito 3 though. It's gonna be good. So this is hard. What do you? Wait, what?
He only did it for money.
Yeah, of course. It's Despacito 2. What do you want?
No.
He only did the Justin Bieber remix for money.
No.
Anyway, what are you thinking? What do you think's coming up? This I could go either way, honestly, on this.
I am leaning towards Gorillaz.
Okay.
And that's not just because I picked this album, and it's not just because I've had less time exposed to Death Grips. I think if I had more time with both of them, my opinion could change.
Okay.
But I will say that while both sounds are incredibly enjoyable, and while both albums I would definitely go out of my way to listen to, Gorillaz comes out on top. Mainly for me because, not iconicism, but like, is that even a word?
Iconicism?
Iconicism?
I mean, Jaden Smith used it, so probably not.
Alright.
But I think you're saying like individual highlight.
Yes, like if you hear 2D's voice, you instantly know who it is.
If you hear Damien Albarn's voice, you think 2D.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Shout out to Blur, by the way.
Very good song.
And Blur's his band, but that's okay.
Blur is a very good song.
By who?
www.
I don't even make that. Okay.
SoundCloud.com/user/
This is
capital J.
This is the third time we use this.
Yeah,
this is the third. This is continuing.
Capital R.
It's not that funny. Game Grumps do it better. Anyway,
this is the MSP shirt wearing.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to the Rock Hard tour. My first ever concert, in my opinion, still the best one.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a just resounding yep to that.
Well,
to that
I didn't
statement.
get to go, so I was upset.
Well, no, because I mean, to be fair, I did try and get you to go. But
I know. And
I made an effort.
He sent me pirated clips.
I did.
He recorded them on his phone, so he was the dick of the audience.
I know, literally everyone was filming, except for the one secret song, which is out now. And Danny, don't you know? Shout out to that song. In my opinion, my best song, or their best song. So I would agree with you that Demon Days is probably going to win this, just in the sense of I don't want to say not even iconicism. I feel like each you can look that up. Okay. I feel like each individual song has the feel of an album, if that makes sense. Like when you listen to Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head, it sounds like a whole experience, but it also transitions very well into Don't Get Lost in Heaven and Demon Days, and I feel like that's a very good accomplishment. But when you compare it to Death Grips, The Money Store, it just has an experience unlike any other, I feel, to where it has a very similar experience of each song paints an individual picture that each lead up to a bigger picture, and I feel like both of those are very impressive. But in the sense of purely albums that I've listened to more, it would probably be Demon Days, and obviously that is a very biased answer.
It's not a word.
Thank you for that.
Iconicism is not a word.
Okay, well, thank you, Jaden
Tell your
Smith.
friends and family.
Thank you, Jaden Smith. But I feel like, and I know that's kind of a biased way of saying, oh, hey, I listen to this more. But I feel like in this case, it's to where they're very close to being. In my opinion, these two albums are perfect at what they tried to do.
Yes.
And I know I mentioned White Light before, but I do feel it does have its place. It does not feel out of place. It just individually, outside the album, it seems kind of weird.
White Light is the weakest link. However, it's the weakest link in a very strong chain.
And it's still a very strong link.
I would say Death Grips has no real weak link, mainly because all of them are equal in terms of quality, and that quality is very good.
Yeah.
I would say Gorillaz definitely has slightly, in my opinion, slightly higher quality, but because some of the songs are better than others, some had to suffer, and that would be White Light.
But that's the thing, though, is I feel like you cannot have this album without White Light at the same time.
I mean, you could definitely listen without it.
You could. But so I think we can agree that Demon Days has surpassed. I feel like we can agree that. So your votes for Demon Days?
Yes, championship winner. Demon Days by Gorillaz.
Yeah, glad we both voted for Demon Days. Of course, the returning champion will remain Death Grips, The Money Store. I think that'll be about it. Do you have anything you want to say while we're here to all of our 5 fans?
Go to teespring.com.
Forward slash Jack
okay. The Rapper.
What's there?
You will get a 404 error.
This is true, because you can't buy T-shirts though. That nobody has. I had one person buy a T-shirt.
Oh, they're actually up now.
No, they've been up for a year.
Oh.
No, I mean, like, they're not up on a website, but you can come to me and say, hey, I want a T-shirt. Okay, cool, that'll be $8. I've had Steven.
It's only $8.
Yeah.
Dude, I need clothes.
Okay.
I'm running out of money.
I'll make one. I mean, you can have it for free because you help with the album.
Hey, listen, let's cut off the mic real quick. I need money.
Like how much money?
I ran out.
I have a Twizzler.
No.
No.
My YouTube paychecks haven't been coming in, and it is because I haven't been making videos, but I need money. Really
do you want to give a shout out to your YouTube channel?
Jack's Films.
Yeah, that's fun fact actually. That's your channel.
Yes, it is. Ever since PewDiePie stole my series where I asked you...
this is the way this bit is going. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Let's end it before we kill it completely.
Oh, okay. Well, do you see that right there? See that right? That's the hockey guy from, I think...
The hockey guy from Linkin Park?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Oh my God, he came in here.
He's coming right for us.
Dang.
Oh no. We just got slap-shotted. You're dead. You don't speak.
Oof.
Okay, you spoke again.
Right.
That's all right. There's the third. All right. Well, I guess we're out of here.
Hey, Jack. I'm gonna fight you. I came back to life. I killed him.
Oh man. Oh look.
Let's fight. Here goes.
Oh boy.
All right.
Man, this is the way this is going. Okay.
All right. You gotta hit me first though.
Okay. I just hit you.
Okay.
I actually hit you before that noise. That was you hitting me.
Okay. Here goes.
Okay. Oh man, that's the third time. That's the fourth time actually. All these sounds are not okay. And hey, Londo, you're dead again. That's weird. I'm gonna steal that epic hat because that's kind of epic. It's like semi-epic. Okay, that's the intro song should be playing at this time.
Subscribe to Rocky T Games.
Those were his last words. That's gonna be on his gravestone.